Hello and welcome to My Tales of Awakening. Just as the name implies, these are stories and experiences of my awakening journey. If you are here looking for advice or educational input or answers, I am so sorry to let you know that I don't have that. I am simply just sharing my new experiences as I work through them. With all of this, I'm really hoping that I find the souls that feel alone and that are just starting out. Because you're not alone. You're beautiful and it's a beautiful path. I cuss a little and I do smoke, and I have no advice to offer. So if that all bothers you, this is not a channel for you. I'm so sorry. I most sincerely hope that you find your tribe as I look for mine. And if you're sticking around, welcome. Make yourself comfortable. Make yourself a cup of coffee or tea, whatever you fancy. Buckle up and let's begin. Okay, we're back in the parking lot and we're going to continue. My Spirits Are With Me, Part 2. So my grandmother passed away January 2025, and to say I was close with her would be an understatement. I talked to her every single day, and the last, 4 or 5 years, we grew a lot closer. Anyways, we packed up as a family, and by that I don't mean my husband and my children. They stayed behind. Unfortunately, they couldn't join us, school and work and everything else. But my sister and my parents, and it's weird. It was this weird energy of, because the four of us haven't really been alone and traveling together for 30 years. But anyways, we packed up and we went back home. She was my last living grandparent. So, and my dad's an only child, so he had to go anyways. And even if he, whatever, doesn't matter. The four of us packed up and went. And let me tell you, learning the traditions back home of when somebody passes, especially in the house, is quite interesting, let me tell you. When I got there, all the mirrors were covered and the TV was covered, and it said that it's believed that the spirit roams around for 40 days. So you keep everything covered, and for the first week or 2 weeks, the room that the person passed in, the light has to stay on. I am not sure why, but anyways, so we got there, and that was kind of weird. And it was the holidays, because they're Orthodox, so Orthodox Christmas was coming up. And anyway, so we couldn't bury her the very next day. It had to be after actual Christmas. So we had a couple days in the house before the actual burial. Her body was not there. It was, taken away to the morgue. So that's all fine and dandy. Well, back in the day, they used to keep the body in the house until the actual burial. I should clarify that so you don't think I'm weird, which is even weirder, I guess. I don't know. However you spin it, it doesn't sound good. So anyways, just leading up to the funeral, I kept getting this strong perfume smell out of nowhere. To the point where my sinuses actually hurt. It was this very floral scent. So I'd sniff myself. I'd sniff, any kind of fabric around me. I'd sniff my mom, my sister. It was just weird because it was like so strong. It was like punch in the face strong. And I couldn't make anything of it. I was like, where the hell is this coming from? And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? You guys, up to the actual date of the burial, I went batshit crazy anymore because of this perfume. I sniffed the carpets, I sniffed the chairs and the couches and everything else, and it was like I couldn't find the root of this perfume. It would come and go. It wasn't like a constant, like in your face thing, but it was like, I'm fine for a few hours and then it hits me for like 5-10 minutes and then it'd go away again and then come back. It was just ridiculous how it like followed me around, and that's all I would get is just this strong fragrance. So anyways, the morning of the funeral, of the burial, somebody from the actual family has to go to the cemetery and meet up with, literally grave diggers, quite literally. Sorry, I opened the window, so you might hear some feedback from there. So anyways, the person that was designated to do that in my family was actually my aunt, my dad's first cousin, who took care of my grandma for the last like couple years. She literally was there every single day. But anyways, she took it upon herself to volunteer to be that person, to be there so when the grave diggers get there, they open up the correct grave and they literally hand dig, which is so weird. Like, coming from Canada, we don't really have to deal with any of that. But anyways, I found it quite morbid. So I looked at my sister that morning and I'm like, she's got to be there for 8 o'clock. I said, how about we meet up with her so she's not there alone with, like, God knows who these people are, And it's like early in the morning, the world still is asleep kind of thing, and she's going to be there all by herself with these people. And it didn't sit right with me, right? So I'm like, you know what? Let's get ready. Let's go meet up with her. She wasn't expecting us by no means, but I just figured it'd be nice to even just go for a walk and clear our heads at that point, because the graveyard, it wasn't too far. It's all within walking distance, right? So as we're walking, this black lab. Now, mind you, my country, it's got a lot of stray dogs all over the place. People get them or rescue them for free, then they can't take care of them. The cost is too high for, vaccinations and actual food and licensing and everything else. So they just release them, which is so sad because I really wanted to take in all the puppies, but I knew I wasn't staying there. But let me tell you, if I stayed there, I would have been a lady with like 35 dogs. Anyways, back to it. This stray dog, it was an old black lab that just appeared out of nowhere, and he started following us, and he followed us to the cemetery. Backstory: when I met my husband, he had a black lab mix. She was like literally the smartest dog anybody could, sorry, I'm closing my window, that anybody could ever imagine. She was so loyal, she was so loving, she was so sweet, but she was so well behaved, such a good dog. Like, he trained her so well, like, honestly. And then when my kids came around, they would, like, tie her ears up with, and don't think of it as anything that was hurting the dog. They would put like freaking hair ties, like those just very loose ones, and like little barrettes, and they'd dress the damn dog up, and she would just sit there so calmly, letting them do whatever they wanted to do. They never abused the dog. I mean, don't think of this as a abuse thing. Like, trust me, I wouldn't have stood for that, because like I said, that dog's really held such a special and high place in my heart that it was unreal. But anyways, the dog that greeted us reminded me of my dog. It just, the energy was there. It was just weird. So anyways, it was like such a good dog. So he followed us to the cemetery, and we met up with my aunt, and she tried to shoo him away. And I'm like, no, I like him. Leave him. Just let him be. Let him be. His presence is actually calming to me. So we got there, and the grave diggers got there, and they opened up the grave, I guess, because it's all encased in marble, right? So they have to take the top plate off. And it was just weird, because my grandfather's buried there. And it was just so heavy. It was heavy because I wasn't there for my grandfather's funeral. Last time I saw my grandfather was literally when we were leaving the country. So, because he died shortly after. And that I still carry on my heart. So anyways, so we decided we're just gonna, while they're digging, we're not gonna stand there and stare at them, like it was weird. So we decided we'll go for a walk around the cemetery, because, like, my whole family, my dad's side, comes from that town. So we have a lot of people, like, from our family that were buried there. And as we went up and down the aisles, my aunt would tell us who's who, like, that's your great-great-grandmother's sister or whatever, right? Anyways, so as we were doing this dog kept following us, and it was like he brought so much peace to me. Anyways, everything, whatever, wrapped up in there, and we left the cemetery. The dog kind of followed us halfway, and then just kind of took his own turn and just disappeared into wherever he went to, right? Got ready, and everything's whatever, topsy-turvy. You gotta get ready, put your makeup on, blah, blah, blah. And we get back to the actual cemetery. Now, they delivered her body at, it's a small town, so we don't have funeral homes there. The funeral homes are, I think, more in the cities. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I don't have anybody in the city that, I never attended a funeral there, really. So I have no clue what they do in the city, but in our town specifically, we have this little enclosed chapel area at the cemetery, and that's where they delivered the casket. And anyways, right before we were about to go to the cemetery, before my cousin picked us up, we that strong smell again hit me. It was just so, it was debilitating at that point. And we get in the car. It went away. We get in the car. We got there. And we get into that chapel and I see the little casket, because she was such a teeny tiny little person. Like, she wasn't a little person, but like she was just very short and teeny tiny. Anyways, and I'm just standing there in front of this casket. It was closed at that point. So I went and I found the employees over there at the cemetery and asked them to open the casket for me, only because I had different images of her in my mind, and I didn't want to go on with life having that as the last image of her. So I asked them to open up the casket, and they did. And as they opened it, I'm standing there, and her hair was not fixed. And like my grandmother, her appearance was everything. Her hair always needed to be fixed. She always had to have lipstick on, and it just wasn't what I expected, right? Because they do it be closed casket, and it was a little bit morbid at that point. Do I wish that they didn't open it? No. I actually am glad that they did, but at the same time, I was kind of disappointed, because I'm like, why didn't somebody call me? I would have done her hair and her makeup. But anyways, as they opened up this casket and I'm looking at her, that perfume, that floral scent, all of a sudden hits me again. And mind you, it was just my mom and my sister and one of the neighbors that was present at that moment. So it wasn't any of them. But that scent hit me like a kick in the head. And I knew it was her that moment. I knew it was her. Like, it wasn't her smell from the casket. It was just her way of saying, hey, I'm here. I'm with you. It's okay. And that in and of itself just kind of shakes you, right? So anyways, the service started, and now they're like, the priest came and he did a beautiful service, and it was time to actually take her to her actual final resting place. And as we're exiting that chapel area, that dog appears again and greets me at the chapel doors. People were trying to shoo it away, and he just did not want to budge. He stayed. And he walked with me in the procession. He actually walked right next to me. Not my sister, not my aunt, because we were all three of us were very receptive of this dog. So, like, but he chose me. He chose me to walk beside me. So anyways, he walked with me and he stood beside me throughout the whole ceremony, the whole entire burial. And then in a blink of an eye, he just disappeared into like abyss. That he was gone. I did not see him for the entirety of the trip. And I was there for 2 weeks. But it was funny because, like, not funny, but ironic. That time, like, my grandmother was one of 10 children. She is the second last one out of the brothers and sisters that passed. One of her brothers is still alive. But a lot of her nieces and nephews and their children and grandchildren showed up for this funeral. The circle is really, really big. My dad knew like most of them anyways. But I was blessed to have had the opportunity to meet my family for the first time. And I have some of them on Facebook. And like without ever meeting them, I've had them on my account as friends because I knew who they were. It's just I didn't really know who they were. You know what I mean? But anyways, one of my cousins came up to me and his wife, and they introduced themselves. And then he goes, "That dog that was with you, is that you guys' dog?" I said, "No." I said, "It's just a stray." And he goes, "Why didn't you shoo him away?" And I said, "Because he brought me peace." I didn't want to get into the whole story as to why I didn't want to shoo him away, but he goes, "I tried to shoo him away and he attacked me. That's an evil dog." And I said, "No, he went to attack you because he was looking for me. He didn't want to leave. He was there for me." And we left it at that, really. But anyways, we went to the luncheon and I met some more family, and one lady in particular, my cousin's wife. Over the years, she would call her and just chit chat with her because she knew my grandmother lived alone. And she would call her often and just chit chat. My grandmother adored her, like just loved her to bits and pieces. When I met this woman, when she hugged me, I don't know, you guys, I've never felt a hug like that before in my life. It was just so soulful. It was like I've known her past my entire life. It was just like she brought me so much peace. Just that one hug, and she didn't let go, and like prematurely, she just held on, and it was just like I don't know. I don't know what there is about that, but like I would really, really like to know who the heck she is from, soul contracts, now that I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I know she had a soul contract with my grandmother because she brought her so much peace and solace and joy and love and everything else. But at the same time, in that one single hug, she brought me all of that, which was really weird. I have not spoken to her since, like, that day. But anyways, the entire time I could feel her presence, and there was a couple things, like little hiccups that were funny at the moment because, well, back home, brandy is a very big thing, and having a shot for, for the soul to rest in peace is a big thing too. And me being the immediate, like, descendant of her, and we were kind of sort of the hosts, I guess. I literally took so many shots that I was literally like fucking drunk, man. But like, I wasn't like stupid drunk where I was acting like a fool, but it was like, by that point, I was like, I don't drink, dude. Like, and I already had how many shots of this like strong ass brandy. But anyways, so there was a few hiccups that my sister and I would notice, and we'd just like kind of giggle to ourselves, like without letting on, because over there, giggling and laughing at a funeral is not a thing to do. So it was like, and I could just feel her, like, with the three of us just laughing along because her laugh was just magnetic, that laugh of hers. But anyways, like, I felt that the whole entire time. Every time something would freaking happen and we'd just look at each other and snicker, I felt her there laughing with us. Kind of like a, inside joke between the three of us. Meanwhile, she's not there. All right, enough about the funeral. Right before the funeral, however, I told you how all the mirrors and everything else were covered. My sister, the day of the funeral, like that night, she couldn't sleep. Now, this isn't my experience. This is really hers. But anyways, I'm going to tell it to you anyways. She couldn't sleep, and she decided to get up very, very early, like before the ass crack of dawn, quite literally. And she was sitting in the room, and she took out her little mirror, her cosmetic mirror, and she was like plucking at her eyebrows or whatever it was. And in the reflection of the actual mirror, she sees like literally this like a ghost, like literally like a white nightgown, and it startled her. Like she froze, and it startled her, and she just flipped the mirror, like, and put it on the table, and she's like, yeah, screw this, no. So I wake up like shortly after, and she goes, oh, I know why they cover the mirrors. So anyways, sorry, excuse me, you guys. I'm still battling with head cold and congestion and everything else. So it was she was shaking a little bit there, but yeah, that prevented me from checking out mirrors. I literally did it that day for makeup, and that was the end of that. I would cover the mirror up in the bathroom, and I'm like, yeah, I cannot stress it enough that if I see anything in the physical like that, I think I'd like crap myself, you guys. But anyways, whatever, that day unfolded, everything's great. The following day, whatever, and I don't know how many days went by, but we were going through paperwork and all of the drawers, emptying it and throwing away stuff that needed to be thrown out. Now, mind you, that house stood for years and years, and literally my ancestors literally all lived there. So, and pretty much all died there in that house. But so there was a lot of accumulated paperwork and crap, like just a lot of crap that was built up over the years. I mean, and I'm not talking like hoarder style built up, but it was just a lot of shit that we needed to go through. Sorry, taking some coffee. So my dad was getting kind of agitated by my mom and my sister and I rifling through all these old letters and all these old papers and pictures. And I mean, I get it. He just lost his mom, and now we're rifling through everything and trying to throw things out and see what we keep, what we don't keep. And I think it was too much for him at that point. And whatchamacallit. So we moved from that room that we were sitting in. We moved into the dining room. We moved a few shoe boxes into there, and we're just going through pictures at this time, and we're laughing and we're going, oh, look at so-and-so, look at how young they were and whatever, whatnot. And as I turned my head slightly from the corner of my eye in the doorway, I see somebody standing there. And I saw like the top that they were wearing was kind of like a rusty orange color, like copper almost. And I did not jolt my head back. I was like, kept my head in the same position, going, okay, is this really, am I really seeing this? And yeah, you guys, in the physical, I was really seeing my grandfather was standing in the doorway. And to be quite honest, I did not crap myself at that point. I think I would at my own house, but at that house, at that very specific moment, it just, in a way, brought me peace. Because those papers, those shoe boxes that were there that we were rifling through, those were all his. He was very big on paperwork. It was part of his job. So he kept a lot of paperwork. But also all those photos were literally, he dabbled with photography in his young days. When he could afford a camera, he bought himself a camera, and he really enjoyed taking pictures. So most of those photos that were in those shoe boxes he had taken throughout his life, like literally. And we were messing with his shit. And he just stood there, and I did not move. I did not react. I just held my head there like that, taking his essence in for a few minutes or seconds or whatever it was, moments, I guess, because I don't know the exact timing of it. But, you know, I missed him a lot, and that brought me a lot of peace. Yeah, so anyways, I think that's the only time in the physical that I've seen anything like that. I just got to check my notes. The hell else is there? I think that's pretty much it for now. I don't even see anything else that I might have missed. I know I went way too much into detail than I wanted to. But regardless, it's a touchy-feely story still for me, because even though it's been over a year, it still sits with me as if it was yesterday. I miss my grandmother a lot. Like I said, I talk to her daily. And just that alone in and of itself, I miss. To be quite honest, I still kind of talk to her. I don't really quite get responses, but in the everyday of the everyday, as I'm doing things, I envision what she would say at that moment, or her reaction at that particular moment, or, you know. But, all right, soppy stories aside, that's going to be all for right now. I got to go into work. Honestly, guys, these are my favorite kind of stories. Please, if you have any stories to share, if they're shorter, drop them in the comments, or even if they're longer, drop them in the comments. But if you would like me to share them with my audience, if there is even an audience, I haven't started uploading yet. I'm just going through the documentation period of recording. So I don't even know if I've even gained an audience at this point. So, but if you are out there, if there is anybody out there, and if you'd like me to share a story, please email me. Email me, and I will gladly share your story. Because honestly, I love these kind of stories. All right, so you guys, thanks for listening. If you are still here listening, I love you and I appreciate you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.